Hey everyone, I'm Super, and I'm starting a new series where I talk about movies I've watched and sometimes rewatched, and whether they're actually worth your time. The film I just revisited was Zootopia 2, and honestly, it was a pretty good movie, but not great. It would be more of a great time watching it. I did have some nitpicks that I had noticed the first time, and they were still there on rewatch, but it didn't take away from my enjoyment of the film. Excuse me. Before I go into the review, I just want to say that I really loved the first Zootopia a lot, by the way. So I did have some high expectations going into it. Now let's start with some of the positives. So first off, I thought the comedy was on point, especially by Nick Wilde, and I loved his dynamic with Judy. They really do have a great dynamic together, and that is when the film really starts to shine. So when we look at uh, what type of movie that this franchise is based on, you'd better have a great buddy cop dynamic, and um, and this film captures that element near perfectly, in my opinion. I also liked some of the side characters as well, especially the beaver. I think this character could have been really annoying, but they use her properly, and she doesn't overstate her welcome. So, so that aspect of the character I really appreciated because it could have gotten really annoying and definitely could have docked a few more points off of the film. Um, I would also say that the adventure aspect was like really fun, and it was nice to see the world building of Zootopia as it gave this setting and like this world some real depth, and it doesn't hurt when there is some great animation that's bringing this entire world to life. So now we're gonna enter my mixed to negatives about this movie. So there are only like a few things that I think they could have done to make it better and make it like a 10 out of 10. So first off, I really think they should have utilized the Snake character and Nick Wilde a lot more because I feel like they could have added more impact to the story. So first off, we're gonna start with the Snake character. So I think the Snake character, he was good, but I feel like with what this entire story is based on, I feel like they could have added more depth, uh, and I think by adding more depth and like giving the Snake character more of a personality, I think I would have cared more about the character and their intentions with the entire mission that this entire film is based off. But unfortunately, the character is like very like one dimensional, so he did end up falling pretty flat for me personally. Um, and that's a little unfortunate because he's been marketed throughout the entire ad campaign. Now for Nick, I wish they had given him a little more to do, except for trying to be really like reliant on Judy. And I feel like what they could have done is like they could have had him have anything except for just being like I want to say like Judy's like best friend, or at this point they're kind of hinting at like a romantic relationship, and I like that, but I feel like Nick as a character could stand out more than just being like a love interest or just a partner in general. Now, another thing that I personally didn't really like was that Judy was being a bit of a jerk to Nick, and I wished he was like treated a little better. I also thought the mystery was really obvious, especially like compared to the first film. It's just more of like a reskin version, and I mean, I wouldn't say it's necessarily like wrong. It's just more of a nitpick, but I wish there was more of a uniqueness into it, into like this entire film, and I wish it was more innovative. But it doesn't take away from the entire experience. Overall, I'd give this film an 8 out of 10, but if they had patched and added some of these aspects to make it stand out more from the first one, then I'd probably, and like, they would probably give it more of its own identity. I think it would have been a straight up 10, but unfortunately, that's not the case. So, overall, while I personally think it's not as good as the first Zootopia, I would still highly recommend Zootopia 2, but as like a fun day out with like maybe your friends or family, or maybe even like a feel good movie at home. So, if you enjoyed this review and want more like it, consider subscribing. It would really mean a lot to me. So, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.